Hello, welcome to this week's lesson. I want to move things on a bit and spice it up, make it a bit more exciting. We're going to make a beaded flower like this. Let's begin. Here. What you're going to need is at least 5 different colours. I've got 7 because I prefer. Starting light and getting darker. Seed beads and some fireline thread or some wax coated thread, just a strong thread that doesn't knot up too much, and a beading needle. So first cut off about 50 to 60 centimeters of the thread, and then you want 2 of these light colour on there, and then tie them together. And then take your longer side and put the beading needle on. And then thread it back up the bottom of one of the beads so you're a bit further away from the knot. And then take 2 of the light colour. You see there's a stitch here in between the 2 beads. You want to go under that stitch with your 2 other beads, pull it through, and then you're going to go up this second bead, and that's going to hold it together. Stitch it on. Then take another of the light colour, and you're going to go under the same stitch. You can't see it, but you go under the same stitch and up the bottom to attach this third one. Then take 2 more of the light colour, and you see here there's 2 stitches we've got. There's 2 stitches. We're going to go under the first one, and then up. You should maybe refer to the worksheets for this one, because I've got a lovely diagram that will show you all of this up close. And then under the second stitch. The first bit is a bit fiddly and then it gets easier. Up. The 4th one is going under the same stitch. All right, so we've got 4 now. All right, so on the next one you'll take a different colour, a slightly darker colour, and one of your light colours. can see it's starting to build up now. Now we're going to do a solid line of the gold. Now we're going to take a slightly darker colour and the gold, get rid of that now. So really the principle is on this first stitch you're going to be, and the last stitch you're going to be stitching 2 beads on, and in these middle stitches you'll be stitching 1 bead on. That is until you get to the top of the petal when it will change, but for now you want 2 beads, that's why I've got 2 on the end. And then we'll start again with the dark bead and then go to this bead again. Now instead of, like what we've been doing is going through the first one with 2 beads, but now we're going to go through the second stitch because we're going to bring the leaf in a bit now because we're building up the top bit now. See, we're going to go to this top bit where it gets smaller. So this one's going to lay on the other stitch and this one will be over here. And then I'm going to use this pink just to add a bit of variety. You don't have to, you could just keep going now with this colour if you like, but I wanted to put more colours in because I had them really. So again, instead of putting 2 beads on this last stitch, we just put 1 now. Okay. Same thing, go through the second one. So now we're going to put 2 of the dark, bring it to the second stitch like before. So now I don't want my thread coming up out of this hole, I want it coming out of the second one along. So in order to achieve that, I'm going to bring it back down and through this third bead and then back up and through, so that it's coming out of the second bead along, not the first. And then I think I'm at the end now. Yeah, I'm just going to put 4 beads on now. So put 2 dark, and then bring them along to the second one, second stitch, another one, and another one. And then you've got some leftover thread, and sometimes I find that a bead might not sit flat. You see, I've got a dome shape here as well, and that's lovely, but it wasn't really intentional. It's just because the beads I'm using have created that, because they're different sizes. That's the thing with seed beads, if you buy them from different places, and they're generally not symmetrical, they come slightly odd. That's why if you want a very symmetrical leaf, you use Delica or some other bead, but I quite like it like this. I'm going to bring this up and bring this bead back down because it needs a bit more securing. Again, I think it's sticking up because it's a slightly different size. Doesn't matter though, I'm just being anal. I'm going to bring the thread down to the bottom through all the beads. Give myself some options. Oh, what happened there? There you go. So I've still got 2 more leaves to make, but it's starting to become something now. Start to visualize. that we don't need all of these threads, so I'm going to tie them off. Some of them I'm going to tie off and snip away. Double knot. And then you just have to, like we've been doing all the way through, just thread the thread up. Thread the thread. Fred said. It was a poet and she didn't even know it. Right, thread it. And then go back up. I mean, it's not going to come undone, so you don't need to overdo it. I'll go up 3 or 4. And I'm going to snip it off. So once we've tied off all the petals except for one, I've now got to stitch it together so that it's quite secure and it doesn't, you know, the leaves don't flop down. So I'm going to put a beading needle then I'll take my 2 sides and I'm going to go up the bottom of the other one. And I'm going to stitch it together basically. I'm going to stitch these 2 petals together. You could go up and through the beads, but I'm just literally stitching. I'm going to stitch up until like the 5th row, I think. Then I'm going to go through the beads. Take the thread over to this side and do the same thing. So once you get to the end of stitching the leaves together, you have to figure out what you want to put in the middle. You might want to make another set of leaves like that and put another little flower in there, or a bigger one, and then layer it up to make a real fancy flower. Or you might just want to stop there and put something in the middle. You can sew it on, go up and through the bead, so you get a double layer. Once you've got your flower, maybe you want to turn it into a necklace or something. I'm going to use some steel coated wire because it's a bit stronger for the neck part. So you don't have to, you could use nylon, you could even use thread, but I think thread is a bit not very secure for the necklace part. So I've threaded it through these top 2 beads, and I'm going to put two on that side, 2 on the other side, then a crossover bead, and then either side here I'm just going to thread beads. So once you have you want your necklace probably around 18 inches is standard, 45 centimeters. I don't want this to be too long because I want the flower to sit quite high. So I'm just going to make sure that the sides are equal. And then I'm going to bring this one back. Oh, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to put the thread back through the 6th bead. So I get a little loop on the end. Then I'm going to make a knot here. You couldn't do this if you had thick steel wire. You can do it with thin steel wire, the soft touch, or with nylon and thread. You can do this with thread too. In fact, you won't get any kinks if you're using thread. It's always a danger when you're using this stuff. Okay, I've tied it and I'm going to thread it back down. So thread it back down a few. You can cut it off. And then I'm just going to put a big link on one side. So I'm going to put it through this beaded link I just made. And where are my clasps? Okay, so open it up. I'm going to put this one on the other side. And there. So there, very pretty. And then if you so wished, you could put it on, you could put the flower on, weave it onto one of your bracelets or one of the other weaves we did, but I've done it like this. Well, that was an epic lesson, but I think it's a good segue into more complex beading. So I hope you have a beautiful beaded necklace you can wear now. And next week, we're going to make a beautiful beaded earring that I'm sure you're going to love. So see you there. Bye.